Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Retail Tales. Here on the show, we exclusively discuss all things AI across the retail value chain. I'm Saurabh and I'm your host for this podcast. I've been meaning to record this episode for quite some time now, but because of one reason or the other, it just kept getting delayed. And let me tell you, the universe seemed determined to make it as hard as possible for me as well. Just last week, I finally sat down, ready to record this episode, and guess what? My 2-year-old son decided that it was the moment for him to unleash his inner Picasso on the wall right behind me. Let's just say clearing crayons off a wall is not exactly the creative collaboration I had in mind. But hey, had to prioritize that over everything else. One, because it was here in my home office, which is pretty much on camera every day when I'm not traveling. And two, because it was an executive order from my wife. So that was that. But here we are, finally. So by popular demand, this episode is going to be the second installment of the mini-series focused on the role of C-suite leaders in an AI transformation journey of a retail organization. And today, I'll focus on the role of a chief technology officer or a CTO. I'll share my thoughts on how a CTO could play the role of a strategic catalyst for a retail organization and harness the power of AI to enhance efficiency, foster innovation, and ultimately drive shareholder value. I'll actually do it in two parts, part one today and the next part in the next episode. Look, CTO is an extremely critical role within any organization's AI journey, let alone a retail organization navigating the complexities of AI transformation in the midst of dynamic consumer expectations, intense competition and razor-thin margins. And for that reason, I want to talk about this role in detail and not rush through anything. So again, part one today and the next part in the next episode. All right. I'm sure most of you know that originally the role of a CTO within a retail company was largely and predominantly focused on managing IT infrastructure, is focused on ensuring system reliability and guiding, software development practices. However, the relentless pace of technological innovation, particularly with the advent of generative AI, has dramatically shifted these responsibilities. Today, CTOs are expected to harness the power of AI and generative AI to drive business transformation, which requires, almost demands them to have a profound understanding of both the opportunities and the challenges presented by these technologies. The retail industry is experiencing a significant evolution powered by AI and generative AI capabilities. GenAI has proven to be a kind of a Trojan horse for organizations to fast track, to accelerate their AI journeys. Retailers have realized the need to reimagine their ways of working, from enhancing customer experiences to streamlining corporate operations, from generating real-time and holistic insights to bringing transparency across their supply chain. Across all these areas and many more, AI has started to revolutionize nearly every aspect of retail. Retail executives are constantly looking to transform their ways of working with AI and generative AI capabilities. But a successful AI transformation requires more than just deploying cutting-edge tools. It needs a strong leadership vision from a technology perspective. And that's where the CTO plays a pivotal role. A CTO's involvement is critical to guiding a retail organization's AI journey. It's critical to ensure that the integration of AI as a capability is seamless, meaningful, and value-driven for a retail organization. Oh, and by the way, before I go on, I know this episode with part one and the following one with part two would likely seem to be focused on CTOs and CTOs only, but just as the first episode of this mini series, which was focused not only on the CFOs, but other finance executives as well. These two-part episodes and each and every bit of what I'll speak about today and in the next episode are going to be relevant and crucial for other senior technology executives as well. So if you are reporting to a CTO or aspire to be in their shoes one day, you might want to listen up. And for the sake of better understanding, let me structure this content across 10 principles that a CTO or a technology leader should consider for creating value, for orchestrating technology and data, scaling solutions, and even managing risks for AI applications. I'll cover 5 of these 10 principles in part one today, and the remaining 5 in part two in the next episode. These 10 principles, at least in my experience, help build a comprehensive roadmap for CTOs aiming to harness the transformative potential of AI in retail. Because one thing is a given, AI is here to stay. So not taking 2 steps forward is already taking 4 backwards. Retail may not be the fastest evolving industry with AI and generative AI, but it is surely evolving fast. So don't get left behind, because the road to catch up is going to be steep, costly, and incredibly challenging. So with that in mind, let's get started with the first 5 principles today. First and foremost, and honestly, it could be obvious to some, but in my experience, not really. So this is still the first principle in my book all day long. It's about building AI and generative AI fluency. It's about understanding AI. What does AI mean? What does AI mean for retail? How do technologies like machine learning, natural language processing, and generative AI impact different parts of the retail value chain, from customer journeys to operations to supply chains? How do these capabilities fit in the existing tech ecosystem, tech fabric of a retail organization? What works and what doesn't? What's real and what's noise? CTOs should immerse themselves in these concepts through continuous learning and be open to acknowledge the adoption of these capabilities in the market. This fluency will enable them to have informed discussions with stakeholders and vendors, which will in turn help ensure that AI investments align with the organization's strategic goals. Let me tell you a quick story. In late 2023, I met a deputy CTO of a regional retail company at an industry event in New York. During our 20-minute long conversation, he said that being an avid user of ChatGPT gave him the right foundational knowledge and a license to be the champion of generative AI within his organization. He said he didn't need any other source of learning beyond that. I laughed out loud, only to realize he wasn't joking. It was embarrassing. The incident is funny, especially when I now remember it, but it is, also a reminder to keep investing in continuous learning. Not just superficially though. Get in there. Get your hands dirty and keep learning. Keep exploring, especially given the speed at which AI and generative AI capabilities are evolving. Then the other side of this coin is to take a programmatic approach to AI literacy, to AI fluency for the broader organization. Designing and executing AI literacy and AI awareness programs across the organization is not just beneficial, it's essential. CTOs should have the responsibility to collaborate with CHROs to ensure that their organization's workforce isn't just passively aware of AI, but is actively equipped to leverage it. And that's across the board, including frontline workers in stores and warehouses, corporate teams, and even leaders. So, in my book, that's principle number 1, AI fluency for yourself and the workforce. The second principle is building an AI strategy that's aligned with enterprise business goals. I'm sure You'll all agree that a successful AI transformation journey begins with a strategy that ties directly to the company's mission and objectives. So the CTOs need to identify areas where AI can create the most impact, whether it's improving customer personalization or forecasting demand or um, optimizing pricing or even enhancing supply chain efficiency. The first principle also involves establishing your company's philosophy for AI and generative AI adoption. I've seen some retail companies take drastic measures like blocking employee access to broadly available GenAI applications. Is that really the right thing to do? In my opinion, that's like stifling innovative ideas and talent upskilling opportunities. Could you instead focus on rolling out education and awareness programs, policy guidelines, and enterprise wide communications to drive a better outcome for your employees and the organization? There are so many ways to achieve this, as long as the intent is right. Not sure how many of you remember when the internet was becoming a thing, and some companies banned, their employees from surfing online at work. Look how far we have come from there. And I know one could argue Gen AI is different. But the counter argument could also be that internet was also different at the time. Anyway, I think you get the point. So I'll move on to the next principle, which is close collaboration with other C-suite executives of an organization. A CTO's collaboration with peers, the likes of CEO, CFO, CHRO, and chief risk officers or the CROs, is extremely critical, especially for AI transformation journeys. Together, they should align AI initiatives with strategic goals. They should address workforce concerns. Together, they should manage FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt about AI adoption within the workforce. This kind of collaboration will ensure AI efforts are not siloed within the technology function, but are integrated into the broader business strategy, are integrated in the broader fabric of an organization, making them more impactful and sustainable. The bottom line is AI transformation is fueled by collaboration. By building strong relationships with C suite peers, CTOs can ensure that AI initiatives are well funded, ethically executed, and widely adopted across the organization. After all, like I said earlier, it's not just about deploying cutting edge technology. It's about creating an ecosystem where technology, people, and strategy work together to drive meaningful, intentional, and sustainable change. And that starts at the top with a unified C suite leadership. All right, moving on to the fourth principle, which is establishing an optimal operating model and a core team to drive AI and generative AI transformation ambitions for your organization. Must be a team of core leaders and their extended team members who are focused on making decisions on AI and data platforms, AI and generative AI use cases or applications, required skills and capabilities within the company, and those of the third-party vendor partners. The key is making these decisions fast. And it's not a hobby. It cannot be a hobby. It has to be a dedicated team driving all of this. Roles and responsibilities must be clearly defined, and organizational gaps must be promptly addressed. And a pro tip on this, having the same executive drive both AI and data decisions for your organization is going to be the most critical success factor for your organization's AI transformation journey. Why? Because the synergy between AI and data is undeniable. AI thrives on high quality, curated data, and having one leader oversee both domains ensures alignment between AI and data strategy for a retailer, between AI and data funding and budgeting and initiatives for a retailer. And if you think it's too much to do for one person, you might want to think again. Having the same leader for both AI and data initiatives would help avoid redundant efforts, accelerate execution, and enable a unified vision for an organization's AI journey. So, on the contrary, It will be easier and more synergistic for one leader to drive both AI and data efforts for a retail organization. And an optimal operating model also requires flexibility. AI and generative AI landscapes, these capabilities are evolving rapidly. So the team should be structured to adapt to these evolutions, to um, regulatory requirements, or to shifts in business priorities. And finally, the core team's culture matters, and it matters a lot. Empower them to experiment, to learn from failures, to share success across the organization. This will help create a ripple effect. This will inspire other teams to embrace AI-driven innovation and contribute to, the company's AI transformation journey. So that's number 4. And then the fifth one in my book is about ongoing evaluation and mitigation of AI and generative AI risks. For a CTO or a senior technology executive, being at the forefront of leading a company through its AI and generative AI journey comes with its own set of responsibilities and challenges. And one of the most critical challenges on the AI transformation journey is managing the risks associated with AI and generative AI implementations. These risks can range from data privacy breaches to biased algorithms to regulatory non-compliance to even unintended consequences of autonomous decision-making systems. So, as a CTO, it's essential to establish robust governance frameworks that include regular audits of AI systems, of AI applications, ensuring that they operate ethically and responsibly. The governance framework should cover key aspects, including data security, moral transparency, fairness, and accountability. Regular audits and validations can help identify potential issues early, whether they are related to algorithmic biases or to vulnerabilities of AI models. Proactive identification will allow the organization to take proactive measures because timing is essentially the key. Another critical element is establishing clear compliance protocols to align with evolving regulatory requirements. Look, laws around AI and data usage are becoming stricter, and non-compliance could lead to hefty fines, could lead to brand damage, or both, and more. CTOs must work closely with legal and compliance teams to ensure that the organization stays ahead of these changes and challenges. It's also essential to engage diverse teams in the development and deployment of AI applications or use cases. It will help reduce blind spots, which will ensure that AI models are less likely to perpetuate biases or produce unintended outcomes. And while we are on this topic, let me say this as well. Having a clear incident response plan in place for AI-related issues can minimize disruptions and safeguard trust. Look, managing AI risks isn't just a one-time activity or an activity during implementation phases of use cases. It's an ongoing commitment to responsible innovation and long-term organizational success. Okay, so those are the first 5 of the 10 principles in my book for a retail CTO on their AI and generative AI journey. Like I said earlier, I'll focus on the remaining 5 in the next episode. But let me know what you think of these 5. Let me know if you have any stories to share, any examples to share with me, along the lines of the 5 principles that I spoke about today. On that note, it's a wrap on this episode. Thanks for listening. Here's me, Saurabh, signing off. If you like the content, don't forget to follow this show and keep learning a thing or two about retail AI. You can follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to this show on Spotify or Apple. Join me in the next episode of The Retail Tales, a show which is exclusively focused on exploring all things AI across the retail value chain. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay curious.